Hello students, how are you? Welcome to iTTV. I'm Miss Sonia, your Form 2 English tutor. Now today, we are going to learn how to write descriptive essays. Now why do you have to learn how to write descriptive essays? In paper 2, you are required to write an essay based on several types of stimuli. Sometimes you are given charts, pictures, and even graphs. And sometimes you are just given notes. You are to write a descriptive essay based on the stimuli. That is why it is very important to learn how to write a descriptive essay. Now let's take a look at the different types of descriptive essays. The different types of descriptive essays are description of a person, description of a scene, and a description of an event. Let me teach you on how to describe a person. Now, you have to start with the physical appearance of a person, and that is followed by character traits. And then comes the reason why this person is so special. Maybe the person had special deeds done or had special moments in his life. Now, first for the physical appearance. In case you do not understand any words, I suggest you write them down and check them out in your dictionary. Adjectives to describe a person physically. Face-wise, a person could have an oval face, a round face, square-jawed face, chubby, sallow, or sharp chin face. An example would be, her face is chubby and she has a hooked nose with dreamy eyes. Or you could even say, her cheeks are sunken and she is pale-faced. Let's go on to the eyes. You might have twinkling, bright, almond-shaped, or sleepy, droopy, dreamy eyes. Next comes the nose. A person could have a sharp nose, a hooked nose, round or short nose, or a person could even have a long nose. Then comes the cheeks. A person could have high cheekbones, chubby or sunken cheeks. And a person's hair. You could describe a person physically by their hair by saying he has short hair, she has shoulder-length hair, or curly hair. Or you could even say a person has wiry hair. Now let's look at the example of describing a person's mouth. A person could have a wide mouth, a small mouth, thin-lipped, full-lipped, or even a pout. And how about physically describing a person's body? Well, you could also say the person is tall, short, thin, fat, obese, paunched, stout, or lanky. Now let us look at the words that describe character traits. Students, once again, please remember, if you do not understand any of these words, please note them down and check them out in the dictionary. Now, words to describe character traits. A person could be happy, joyful, cheerful. A person could be caring, responsible, devoted. Other character traits would be naive, innocent, fair or just, respectful, compassionate, and loyal. Now, why is this person worthy or important to write about? Now, situations that are momentous or memorable with this person should be noted down. Let's take a look at some examples, shall we? He or she had helped you in your most difficult moment. Now, that could be a memorable experience for some people. On to the next example. He or she was, or is a fashion icon or symbol like Princess Diana. You could even talk about Michael Jackson or anybody who's your idol. He or she had died for the nation. He or she was imprisoned because he or she fought for justice, mankind, and human rights. Now, examples of people like that would be Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela. Now, other examples would be he or she had brought about development to a nation. Once again, like Tun Dr. Mahathir. Now, another person you could actually talk about would be your mother, a person who does not tire or is always perseverant. You could also speak about your dad. Now, you could also talk about a person who gives up his or her own pocket money to help a needy friend. That would make a very loyal friend, I'm sure. And since you are surrounded by so many friends in school, I'm sure you have a lot to write about them. Now, students, I'm going to show you a paragraph of what I wrote about my idol, my mother. Let's take a look at it, shall we? My mother is young. She is only 50 years old. She has a pair of twinkling eyes complemented with a sharp nose. She always spots a bun, but when she lets down her hair, which is so rare, it goes right down her back. There is a silver tint here and there in her jet black glory. My mother is short and chubby, making her a very chubby person. My father always teases her by calling her Humpty Dumpty. Now let's look at a description of character traits. My grandparents are my mother's ardent fans, and she is so patient and compassionate towards them. She works tirelessly and is always the first to lend a helping hand to whoever is in need. My mother is so generous that very often she cooks for the old folks in a home near our house. Now, the description of my mother is she is my hero. Let's take a look at an example, shall we? My mother is surely my hero because she's the one who champions my rights. I remember how my mother would come and talk to my teachers and explain my health condition without fail. It was due to her unfailing devotion to me and her utmost concern for my health that I am a company CEO today. If she had neglected me, even for a moment, I could have fallen and not be able to pick myself up. You see, I was a very weak and fragile person, and my health was always failing me. My mother was determined to walk with me through my hard and traumatic moments. She did, and so here I am. Now you are ready to write an essay. To begin with, I'm going to give you the essay title of My Father, My Hero. I'm sure you have a lot to write about your father. He is a person that's been with you from the time you were small to what you are right now. I'm sure he's been with you through thick and thin. Now, you could also talk about your father, about certain traits and the way he moves. Let's take a look at an example, shall we? Now, description of a person must have these features. Physical appearance. Now, your father could be an old man or a strong, healthy man. He could also have grey hair, or he could actually have a head full of black hair. What about character traits? Now, you could have a father that who's very stern, talks to you very sternly, or you could also have a father that speaks to you in a very soft voice. My father was a very stern man, but he meant well. I'm sure you can write exactly what you feel when your father speaks to you. Now, next comes, why is this person worthwhile to be mentioned? I'm sure your father has done many things for you over the years, and I'm sure you have a lot to write about. Let's move on. Now, describing the way a person moves. Now, your father could be an energetic person, or he could walk slowly. He could be an athlete and go jogging every day. Or you could also say, he moves around like lightning. Now, students, describing the way a person talks. Let me just remind you, students, if you should actually write an essay and you actually remember how your father speaks to you as you grew up, please remember to use your imagination to further elaborate on your essay. He talks gently to me. Or you could say, he shouted at me in a thunderous voice. Or like I said earlier, if your father is a soft-spoken person, you could say, my father whispers all the time, so I can hardly hear him. Now, those are the different structures or ways for you to actually write a descriptive essay. Now, let us just recap on what we learned today. We learned how to write a descriptive essay. Descriptive essays contain description of a person, description of a scene, and a description of an event. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Well, students, we've come to the end of our lesson. But just before we go, today's Brainyquote is, a man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. Now, what does that quote mean? It just means that you have to take time to learn life. Now, that quote was from Charles Darwin. Do you know who Charles Darwin is? Yes, he's a famous biologist. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Thank you for watching iTTV. I'm Miss Sonia, your Form 2 English tutor.